A quick disclaimer before you start watching this video or you decide to start watching this video, that this book that I'm reacting to in this video has a lot of graphic descriptions of blood and complete lack of hygiene, and the author has written a character who is so disgusting. There's no other word for it. The character is disgusting. Her thoughts are absolutely disgusting. There is also racism in here, and she talks about things in ways that literally should not be talked about. So if you're grossed out easily, then please do not watch this video. Also, if you are family, please do not watch this video as well. That's a very important thing that I really want to tell you. I have done this video because I was forced to do it by a friend, and I feel like it's my job to let you know what you're in for. And please be careful. Please keep all of these in mind as you decide whether or not to watch this video. So, it's been a while since I reacted to this book, this stupid book, but I promised a friend, and a promise to a friend is a promise to a friend. So I'm actually here to do the reaction, and I will put myself through this for that friend. See what I'm doing for you, Elric? You see what I'm doing? I'm putting myself through such pain. Today, did I tell you the date? No, today is December 14th, Monday. A quick disclaimer, please ignore any sounds in the background. People like talking. Can you hear that? People like talking, kids like screaming. This woman, she thinks she smelled gas in her room, and she goes and calls the nurse, and when the nurse comes, there's no smell of gas, and she's like, I guess it doesn't, my mistake. And she exaggeratedly raised the corners of her mouth, hoping to make it look as if she was joking. It's nothing to joke about, you fool. I mean, she realizes that later, but when a gas leak incident happened at her place, she assumed that her mother and brother were already dead, and she assumed that if she got out of bed, she would ignite that spark and send the whole building up in flames, and that she would be responsible for her mother and brother's death. And then she thinks that if she doesn't do all of this, then she would have at least one remaining parent, and she's assuming that she will get out of it alive. And this whole thing, it's making me feel like this woman is so selfish. She's just looking out for herself throughout this whole thing. If something like that were to happen to anybody else for that matter, people would go running down to check if their parents, their family were okay. They would go to check on the source. But no, this lady is not like that, no. And look at what she's saying. The apartment was silent. If I made it out alive, I would still have my father, who luckily didn't live in that deadly building. That's the one advantage to having divorced parents. What? That's the advantage. Like, if a gas leak happens and one died, I'll still have the other. What sort of logic is that? See, this whole book is only like this, but things like this are making it even worse. Like, I don't need just the grossness to tell you that this book is bad. You know what? I have a feeling that when she says there's no way for me to know whether I'm imagining it or not when I smell gas, it always smells strong and it happens pretty often, that's just her, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying she does not smell gas. She probably does. But maybe that is just her gas. She just grabbed herself. And she has to explain that also. Not explain, describe that also. And she calls herself Inspector Helen. And she asks, how did that get there, Inspector Helen? What am I going to do with this book, dude? If I ever come across a physical copy of this book, I'm going to tear it and burn it. I mean, I feel bad saying that. I don't think anybody should do it. But if I buy it, then it's my property and I can do whatever I want with it. Even though I'm against defacing books. But this book has defaced itself. Why is she explaining everything happening in her backside, dude? What is the whole point of this stupid crap book? She's explaining how she's bad. Okay. She says it really doesn't smell good in this room. I'm afraid I'm definitely air incontinent. So that's what I guessed right. No. Flow of warm air is coming without warning out of my intestines, it seems. That's your problem. You are not well. Just take rest like the doctors are telling you to. Don't go doing nonsense. This lady's real sign of affection is completely something else. It's nuts, it's bonkers. 50 Shades of Grey has nothing on this. Because if you thought the descriptions in that book were absolutely ew, then this is going to push you over the edge. Why is she associating crap with intimacy? What is her problem? Honestly, I'm not even making this up. She is associating crap with intimacy in the worst way possible. I can't even describe it. It's horrible. Ew. That also she has to say. I don't know if I've said this in a previous clip, but she's had a surgery on her backside, and now she's saying I never would have thought the backside, which I just censored for the sake of, was so integral to the process of walking. How long have you been a human? How gross is she? Yuck. I don't want to do this. Why is she so obsessed with pee of all the things? I really want to read this section out to you, but I also don't want to because it's that horrible and I don't want to put you through this. I'm going through it, that's enough. She's talking about reflection and diffusion and light and physics basically. What crap, physics only. I did not mean to say that. It's completely random, dude. Like, she is talking about some medical person coming in the door and the socks are gleaming white. Nothing in our house ever stays white. Anything white takes on a different shade after the first washing. Why did we need to know that? Unrelated. And then you follow this up with the... Don't get agitated. No. See, I feel like this person who wrote is a sort of an anti-divorce person or something. She is like not for divorce. She believes in the concept that you have to be together no matter what. And I can see that in this. Just look at it. She is now conspiring to bring her dad and mom into the same room. And when her mom said she'll be there at 5, she called up her dad and told him that it would be better for her if he came at 5. And now her father is there. Her mom is nowhere to be seen. And he's just sitting there looking at her. And she's looking at him. And she's like, but that's definitely not a reason to leave someone. She's talking about a mom here who left her dad. I think something happened and both of them divorced, dude. But that's definitely not a reason to leave someone just because he sits there, looks at you and doesn't say anything. There must be a better reason than that. Maybe their love faded. If you really want to promise something worthwhile, try this. I will stand by you even if I no longer love you. Now that's a promise. That really means forever. In good times and in bad. It's certainly bad times when one person no longer loves the other. To stay only as long as there is love is not good enough if you have children. I understand that concept. I do. But the point is, what if that situation becomes toxic for both of them, for the children as well? Because if it becomes toxic for the husband and wife involved, imagine the effect it begins to have on the children. And I don't think this lady sees that. She's just looking at her own wishes. Like, she wants her mom and dad to be together, but she's not seeing. She's old enough to think in such a manner, by the way. She's like old enough to have surgery on her own and all that. But no, she's thinking, my parents did not think about me when they left each other. But she's not thinking about them, no, because who cares? Who cares about their happiness? Mom and dad are humans also. They also deserve their happiness. What bachi she is. My goal is that they see each other and years after separating fall head over heels in love again. Don't force it. Helen's mom is late and Helen is thinking, she thinks I'm upset because she's late. The perpetually guilty conscience of a working mother. She doesn't know what I know, that she just missed her future husband. Stop! She plans to stay at the hospital to bring her parents together. She's going to extreme lengths. Maybe by injuring myself again, I can force another operation. Don't do it. And then you'll write another book and then it's like Elric will read it and then he'll make me also read it. No, please, no. Please don't injure yourself and please don't write a book. It's going to come back to me in the end and I don't want that to happen. There's this nurse called Robin. I don't know if I told you this before. And she calls him in and asks, for some reason she wants to talk to someone because she thinks that her mouth is a petri dish in which bacteria are forming and fermenting. So those reasons aside, she asks him, are you okay? And she feels that she has to look after him and make sure he has a nice shift, which is a decent sentiment. Yes, I'm doing fine. I've been thinking a lot about your wound and about how cool you are about it. I even talked about it with a buddy. Don't worry, nobody from here at the hospital. He thinks you are an exhibitionist or whatever you call it. This is Robin talking. And then Helen is like, show off is what I always say. And it's true. Is that bad? No, I wish more girls were that way, like the girls I meet at clubs. No, you don't want. She is. You are just seeing the tip of the iceberg with this woman. You have no idea what lies under. I mean, why did you write this book? What? I'm not even going to say inspired because it's a dhabba on the word inspiration to take it in the same breath as this book. So no, what made you write it? I'm going to keep it simple. She just told him a story about how she goes looking for men in the club and Robin is shocked and now she's waiting for the result, it seems. What? You are on Indian Idol or what? What is wrong with this woman? What stupid... Okay. Is it possible that anyone who works in a hospital, whether they're old or young, good looking or ugly, seems sexually attractive just because there's nobody else around? Oh, you have the worst thoughts. Oh my god. No, ma. Oh, yo. Bah. Chi. I don't have to muster the strength to get up and go brush my teeth. Just push the call button and tell filthy stories and I'll get plenty of fresh air in my mouth. Your concepts are warped as filthy as... What do I even compare it with? This is the filthiest book that I've ever read. The grossest. I cannot believe that this book is in existence. What? Okay, a continuation to the earlier one. In the old days, children who said bad words would have their mouths washed out with soap. Did people really do that? Or only threaten to do it? I'll have to try it out. I'll say a bad word and then wash my mouth out with soap. Something else to add to my mental scrapbook. I've already sprayed myself with pepper spray. Also, just because I wanted to know what it felt like. The brand I used was called Knockout, but I know now there's no truth to the name. I didn't pass out. So you really thought pepper spray was going to make you pass out? She is so obsessed with private parts, man. Even in a wooden board, she sees them. A female nurse walks in, and this idiot, she immediately brands her oafish. Oaf, like OAF, oaf. So basically, if a woman is clean and she is well kept, as this woman is explaining, apparently the more effort they put into these little details, the more uptight they seem. Their bearing is stiff and unsexy because they're worried about messing up all their work. So that's their issue, now what's your problem? Well-kept women get their hair, nails, lips, feet, faces, skin and hands done. Colored, lengthened, painted, peeled, plucked, shaved and lotioned. They sit around stiffly like works of art because they know how much work has gone into everything and they want it to last as long as possible. Fine. Tumhara problem? You don't want to get it done, so you don't want others also to get it done. Okay? Why are you judging them? I don't know how to read this out, but listen to this section where she ends with a most I don't know, it's a very inconsiderate term for a mental hospital, and look at how she ends it. Nobody who works in the hospital pays attention to whether someone is sleeping when they enter the room. They all just yell morning and loudly do whatever it is they have to do. They could just drop the morning and quietly and considerately take care of their duties in the room. They have something against sleep here. I heard once that you're not supposed to let people with depression sleep too much because it intensifies the depression. But this isn't a nut house. Are you even real? What's that? The way Margaret uses the pedal is typical of a well-kept woman. She pays close attention to her nails. She touches everything only with her fingertips. Odd phenomenon. Sure, if your nails have just been painted, you're careful not to touch things until they dry, but some women act the same way even when their nails are dry. It makes them look squeamish, as if they're disgusted by everything around them. In your room, given what has been happening over the past 107 pages, maybe she should be. Helen just said, when it comes to hygiene, I'm quite particular. She just said that. And that is the biggest lie that I've read in this book, so far at least. See, exactly. She thinks I want to keep things neat here, that the smell bothers me, or that I'm ashamed of the bandages I magically pull out of my behind. In reality, what I'm quite particular about when it comes to hygiene is that I don't give a shit about it and I despise germaphobes like Margaret. You have the audacity to say things like that. Audacity. Like, I'm not going to use any other word. And this woman has a problem with periods also. I'm putting one... Okay. She's talking shit about Margaret for no reason at all. And she has just met her for God's sake. What's up with me? Why am I so worked up about her? She hasn't done anything to me. I'm putting one over on her with my trash can request, not the other way round. When I instantly despise someone for no comprehensible reason, when I want to punch them or at the very least insult them in the harshest terms, it usually means my period is on the way, just to top it all off. See, I have two ways of thinking about this. One is that a woman has written it and she knows what PMS is about, so she's actually putting them down in words, so I should be able to relate to it rather than get annoyed by it. But the second point that I'm talking about is that a woman has written it, fine, but it's also, the whole book has been a huge load of crap. It's a huge load of unhygienic perverseness, and there's also been quite a bit of stereotypical thinking in this, and there's been quite a bit of ewness in this book. So when I think of this, I feel like the author has written that part just to appeal to men, and that's not something that I like. And to add that here is like stoking the fire and saying that whenever a woman gets angry, it's because she's PMSing. That's not it. Okay, so I'm going to stop reacting for today. I haven't gotten much done today actually, but the thing is my camera's battery is dying. That's one reason, and another is it's now coffee time and I am tired and I need coffee, and I'm going to go make some coffee and read for a bit. What am I going to read? Not this book for sure. So I'll film the next section probably tomorrow because I have quite a few videos to film tomorrow as well. So I will do that as a continuation. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe and do not read this book. Bye.